Growing up, I like superheroes. People like superheroes for many different reasons. Sometimes it's their powers or their story arcs. Sometimes it's the ideals. Some of my favorite superheroes have included Batman, Superman, the Human Torch, Gambit, and Spider-Man. Um, so there's different reasons for them. For starters, let me say I didn't have a lot of comics growing up. I read comics when I can. I try to look it up online, but I am always willing to learn more about these characters than I do now. But back then, I just had the TV shows: Batman the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, X-Men the animated series. Pretty much that. Each of those heroes are just pretty amazing for different reasons. What makes Batman great? One, he doesn't have superpowers. He still has what he needs in him to go out and save the world, or at least save Gotham City. Batman nowadays, he comes across as, "I'm Batman." Like, he just doesn't care about being Bruce Wayne. But the Batman I remember, he was Bruce Wayne first and foremost, and Batman was just what he did to keep people safe. That was the essence of being a hero. He cared about the safety of Gotham City. Batman went through a lot. He lost his parents due to crime. But I think part of the Batman's character is that he shows how you learn to cope. Sometimes bad things happen in your life, but you can't let those bad things define how you are. Batman, in the end, he still had a home. He had a butler who took care of him. Money can't fix his problems, but he still had what he needed within himself to be better. And I feel like in that show, Bruce Wayne was a fine adult. He was happy for the most part. He showed emotion, and he generally cared about Gotham City. He cared about some of the villains too. He didn't want to just hurt them. He wanted to help them. Heroes help people, and that show was the best Batman could have been because it shows how to make Batman a real hero. He wasn't super goody two shoes or whatever. He wasn't smiling all the time like he's All Might, but he still had his own presence. He still cared, and it showed through his character. Superman, the funny thing with him is that many think they can't relate to him because of his powers, because super strength, super speed, stuff like that. In the end, he's an alien living on Earth. He feels isolated from the world, and you can't blame him. It doesn't matter how good you think you have it in life, sometimes you're just going to feel like an outcast. All the powers in the world will make him feel any less alien to them. That's why he is Superman, because he wants to feel part of the world in some way. It's funny because when he's Clark Kent, he blends in a lot because he just doesn't want to stand out. He just wants to be part of the crowd. As Superman, even though he's front and center, he's still trying to be of service to Earth because he cares about the planet. So then you have stuff like guys like Johnny Storm. Why they're singling him out? Johnny Storm's just one of my favorite in the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four itself has a great theme of family. Like, no matter what happens, they're always going to stay together. And Fantastic Four shows in life sometimes the best you could have is your family or anyone you consider family. So, Johnny's thing is that he's super popular. He seems to enjoy being a superhero. He likes the perks that come with it. But even he knows that some of that glamour could lead to fake friendships. He doesn't know what's real or not. He could meet all these people who say he's cool, but they only think he's cool because he has powers. It's never about Johnny Storm. It's about the Human Torch. So I feel like that adds layers to Johnny's character and makes him much more interesting than at first glance. Gambit, well, I can't really just talk about Gambit alone because all the X-Men have like this whole theme of you feel like an outcast, but it's all about how you handle it. Someone like Gambit didn't handle it well at first. He grew up a mutant and he wasn't really that accepted, and it got to the point where he was a thief. It took just meeting the right people to help him get on the right path, and from there, life was better for him. So Gambit is like an example of redemption. You may have screwed up in life, but you don't have to stay that way. You can be better than how you were, and Gambit proved that he was better than how he was. Also, Gambit's just cool because he uses cards and he fights with a staff. Some of the best fighters are staff fighters, just like Donatello from the Ninja Turtles, who's more known for his brains, but hey, both staff rocks. All right, let's get to Spider-Man. Spider-Man, everyone knows, great power, great responsibility. He lost his uncle to crime, and he decided from there on he wants to be better. What does Spider-Man represent as far as what you are? When he was written by Steve Ditko, he was very antisocial. A lot of the bad things that happened in his life is because of him. He kind of caused his own misery, and that's an example. That's something people should look out for. In life, you might be responsible for everything bad that's happening to you. You can blame the world all you want, but in the end, it's likely your fault. And if you don't straighten up, things are just going to get worse. And it took Peter a while because he just was very antagonistic to other people. The way he acts, you don't blame them for bullying him because he asked for it a good chunk of the time, and then later he wants to complain that no one understands him. But that's life. You want people to understand you. Maybe don't be a jerk. Try to be more sympathetic. Not everyone's going to like you, but you can still be better. Then Stan Lee kind of gave him a whole guilt complex thing, which in itself is something to look out for. Spider-Man's guilt complex gets so bad that he will blame things on himself even if it wasn't his fault. Now on the outside, it looks like, hey, he's a nice guy. He's just very empathetic. He wants the world to be better, and yeah, he is a nice guy. He wants to help people. He likes helping people, and if he could help it, he would make New York better, and maybe he can focus on his own life. But in the end, making it all about yourself is not good. If you're the type of person who feels like, oh, something bad happened, it must be my fault. I'm sorry I caused all this. You're kind of being selfish in your own way. Because if you're making this say, if you're telling somebody, I'm sorry, you're not acknowledging their problems, you're making it about yourself and you're just looking for sympathy. Because I feel like, in a way, here's my little theory. I guess it's not really much of a theory, but Spider Man just feels so guilty about what happened to his uncle. He just wants to forgive himself deep down, or he wants to feel forgiven for making that mistake that got his uncle killed. So thus he gets very apologetic. So that might have been covered in one of the comics for all I know, but that's my thing. Point is, I guess the good thing about Spider-Man is that he will still try to be better. He will not let anything bring him down. He goes through a lot, and he is still very humble. Like, he doesn't put himself on a pedestal. He does like appreciation, but he generally does try to keep a level head. He kind of goes too far with the guilt complex, but it comes from a good place. He's like one of the most pure-hearted heroes in Marvel, and he's just a genuinely nice guy. He doesn't forget where he's from. He knows what it's like to struggle, and he wants to be better. I think he just wants to live up to the expectation that he expects for others and himself. He wants to set a good example, so that's probably why he's so hard on himself. So, but that's a good thing about some of these characters, that even when they're ideals, they themselves are still learning, and it shows you who reads the comics, you can strive to be like this person, but you don't have to be perfect. You always have room to grow, but as long as you're making the effort, that's what matters, and that's the essence of liking the superheroes. So, I like these heroes from just many reasons. I've enjoyed the comics, I've enjoyed the TV shows, I've enjoyed the movies. Superheroes come in different forms, of course. You have a not so typical heroes like Goku or Sonic the Hedgehog, who are not proactive heroes, but are still heroes in their own way because of what they represent. You got more active heroes like maybe Mario and whatever. And then you have like My Hero Academia, which tries to adapt these concepts as well. But the core of heroics mostly started thanks to the influence of DC Comics and then later Marvel Comics. It's a reason the two were the top two big comics in the world. So I don't. Right now, those comics are kind of struggling, but I like to imagine that, like good heroes, they will pull through the nonsense they're going through and be better and create a bright future. But that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Storm Dash out.